in many cases, many of the organizations that probably would have taken the lead on this are intrinsically tied to these Democrats in the city. They are in these cities. They're fighting for budget reforms on different items. They're working with them. They're endorsing them. They're helping them with their campaigns in many cases. And it's been there have been so many roadblocks and stumbles along the way because the folks that we would normally go to for leadership on this and organizing, and they've got the membership to disperse this information, are just kind of sitting there with their hands tied.
Yeah. And, in a lot of ways, it doesn't surprise me because, while we have a number of really fantastic endorsers who are running or have run as part of the Democratic Party, they are true progressives. And the majority of the Democratic Party is not. Part of the system of mass incarceration, is a profit motive. That's why it's called the the prison industrial complex. These same corporations that are profiting both off of private prisons, but one thing that people don't even know about is profiting off of state and federal prisons as well through slave labor at 4 cents an hour, as well as providing food and clothing and bed sheeting or whatever to prisons. These same corporations are the ones whose lobbyists are lobbying congressional leaders on both sides of the aisle and who are donating in large amounts to their campaigns. So we are not looking for the traditional forms of leaders or leadership to help us with this, although we're hoping that the Democrats would be the first to kind of adopt it in the way some of these more progressive leaders are. And we also are, not expecting that reform, any type of reform, is going to be the solution. So typically, no matter what side of the aisle it's been on, it's been criminal justice reform. And time again, that hasn't worked. Abolition is about demolishing this system entirely and creating a new system that would, in a lot of ways, if we just decriminalized poverty, if we decriminalized immigration, if we decriminalized street crimes and crimes about use of public space, we would clear out prisons. If we removed or if we eliminated cash bail, tons of people who are catching COVID in jail right now would be home with their families and communities would be better off. So we're looking for, much more than just what Democrats or Republicans are willing to put on the table themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I ran for public advocate, we had so many criminal justice forums, and I talked to a lot of leaders in this space, including one who was actually, he helped advise our campaign on this, behind the scenes. He was talking to me quite a bit about this, was Janos Martin, who's running for DA in Manhattan. I was really kind of blown away with the resistance on some of the most basic things, like releasing nonviolent elderly offenders who are taking up a majority of our prisons right now and are at absolutely no risk of being integrated back into society, especially if they're nonviolent. And, I mean, it's mind-blowing, the cost it has on society, the cost it's on taxpayer costs, whatever. You want to frame it from whatever context you want to frame it to win the argument. But it just seemed like such an easy negotiation point.
Except for the fact that certain people want other certain people to remain in prison. In addition to the profit motive, there's just the reality of the fact that in the 19th century, much of the conversation around the Negro problem in dealing with slaves, the concept was shipping them back to Africa. Prisons in its modern sense was created right out of that. So that's still a primary goal, is to remove the people that they don't want to be around, that they don't consider equal to them, in a place where they're hidden and they're treated inhumanely, and they are profiting off of them. It's very clear that even though the term penitentiary comes from the concept of penitence, there is no actual purpose there for that, and there's no methods for rehabilitation. The stripping of prisons, from having access to Pell Grants is one example, where we're not trying to educate these people so that they can come out. We want them to stay exactly as they are and as far away as possible.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. Make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube and share with everybody on social media. And of course, if you're not a patron already, please join us on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for as low as $5 a month. That money makes a huge difference. We don't have the corporate money coming in. We're not cable news that's raking in the dough from advertisers right now as everybody's sitting at home and watching. It is really you guys who are keeping us together. So please consider being a patron. And for those of you who have already, we are incredibly grateful.